Everyone has something to share in either wisdom, story, or logic, and it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people unique to their own journeys and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jessie on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and story of others.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody here back to the Missing Link. Today we are excited to talk to someone who's an ex-Catholic, an ex-mother of 4 children, an ex-medical doctor, an ex-entrepreneur of medical clinics, an ex-citizen of Canada, Ghis. How are you doing today?
Well, very happy to be with you, Jessie.
Well, I'm very happy that you're here with us as well. Why don't you start off with telling us about yourself, about your journey, about maybe what part of the world you grew up in, what part of the world you're in now, a little bit of your background, education, anything that you want to share with us for people to get to know you, especially if they haven't seen or heard of you before.
All right. I live in Quebec, so that's why, and I usually do a lot of shows, and mostly in French. So, as a CV, I can only do what I just said, an XXXXX, because I don't care about the past so much. And then if you have questions, don't hesitate. But I'm more involved into the future. Where are we going? We are on a desperate verge of despair right now, and so that's why I'm much more concerned with the future. And there is a solution, only one, but we need only one, but not in matter. It's not to improve what we've been doing in the past. It's to transform it totally, going from, it's like the caterpillar transforming into the butterfly. What does the caterpillar do? It just disintegrates. It just falls apart. And from there, from the nothing emerges. What emerges, the butterfly. And this is where humanity is now. We want to fix the system. We want to fix. It is corrupted to the bone. So are we. And we don't want to see that, but we create. We're creators and creatrixes. This is who we are. And we create what we're going through right now, we're experiencing on a global basis. We create it, and we just don't, we blame them. We're still victim of external creators. Well, how about being creators of what's going on right now? And this is the clue. This is where the problem is. My question was, what's going on? That 1% rules 99%. Well, we can blame the 1%, but how about having a look at the 99%? And what's the problem with the 99%? Well, and my question with this is that, is it new? Is this something new? No, it has always been. It has always been that the few rule the many. What do the many do? It's been like this for eons. What do we do, the many, that it keeps going on? So the answer is that we give priority to our having over our being. And so our having, well, our being is just going little and little and less, and this is who we are. I mean, this is who we are is less and less important. The spirit, we're made of two elements, the spirit and matter, and spirit is less and less, and matter more and more. And well, we're going to disappear. Yes, we're going to die if we don't change. That's all. Okay, so that's just, this doesn't tell you anything about who I am. I was a medical doctor. I was a mother of 4. I come from a sort of comfortable family. I had good parents. What else? Yes, maybe that could be of some interest. I was born a rebel. Yes, a rebel. And I had a major conflict of authority. That was, I would say, if I can say so, this is what brought me to where I am today. This conflict of authority, I had this conflict all my life until I found out that the only real authority, the supreme authority, is inside. It's not outside, it is inside us. And what we have called all that time sovereignty. Sovereignty means the supreme authority. Well, sovereignty is not outside. It's not the king or the queen or the constitution or the country. It's all false. We live in a world of falsehood. The supreme authority, which we call sovereignty, is within. It doesn't mean I do what I do when I do the way I do. No, it means my soul. Well, then when I say inside, I'm talking about the soul. We have a soul and a body. The spirit within is the soul, and the outside, what we see, is the body. So this is, I think, the most interesting part of my past life. Life. I'm still there, but the past. Right now, my concern is today, and for the past year, my heart is dedicated, not even my heart, my soul is dedicated to have the human fear come to an end. Period. That is it. This what we call I call the fear-demic, because that's what it is. No fear, no epidemic. It's a fear-demic. Let's remove the fear, and that's it. It's over. The 1%, there's no 1% and 99%. There's none of this anymore. It's over. So this is what I'm mostly involved right now, as long as it's not resolved, as long as it doesn't happen. This is where I put my energy today.
Do you think that's what the missing link is, for people to, eliminate that fear? That's the link, that's the missing link that people need to stop being afraid? The fear is the unifying link to our to the situation we're in now. Not but that we live in slavery. We're slaves, and so the unifying link is definitely fear. If there is no fear, we're all one. We're all one. That's all. So let's call it the missing link then. Yes, the way we want to call it. But fear is definitely what keeps us in slavery. And then because we're afraid and we give priority to our having over our being, then all the 1% needs is to make us fearful, and then we're totally controllable.
That's it. That control is the name of the game. Absolutely, definitely.
How do you think we can stop getting or having people be so afraid? Because Brian says the funny thing is most people believe the fear, and he said also they're trying the masking again. Like, how can we get people to stop being afraid?
We have to let's say we, because we're all one. We have to make a decision. Do we want to remain living with the way we've been doing for eons, or do we want to become who we really are? This is the big decision. Is, am I going to remain being who I am not? I am not. That's why I call, I am not a mother. I am not a doctor. I am not a citizen. I am not an entrepreneur. None of those. This is what we think we are. We are not that. Who are we? We are the supreme being. The supreme being inherent to everything that exists. Are we willing to change our mind, our mental prison? Are we willing to change our belief? Are we willing to change the way we've been thinking for eons, and think that there's somebody greater than we are outside? This is the question. If we do not address that issue, nothing will change. Nothing. It will go on. It can be worse, it can be a little better, but we will remain caterpillars. We will not become a butterfly. And we're experiencing now, humanity is coming to an end. Either the end of humanity, the way if we keep going on, or it's the end of the animal, thinking animal. It's we have to let go the way we've been thinking. We're still thinking like animals. And as a doctor, I know that the diseases, for instance, what we call diseases, are exactly the same for animals as for humans. The same problem is behind the disease. So we are still animal thinking animals, and this is the big change that we have to come up with. Realize that we are Idessa, what I call Idessa, which is the supreme being that we have been told that is in heaven. No, it's within us, within everything. Everything is the supreme being. It's not outside. We're not separated. And fear comes from separation. Authority, let's say, fear comes from separation of authority and obedience. And both are afraid. Everybody is afraid. Authority is afraid of losing its authority, and obedience is afraid to lose its freedom, liberty. Everybody is afraid. Because authority and obedience are separated, are divided. If we put them together, we unify them, well, then fear goes. How come that they are separated? This is the root of the problem. And let's go to the root, definitely. And the root of the problem is that we have forgotten who we are. We still believe that there is a greater, whoever it is, greater than us on the spiritual aspect and on the materialistic aspect. We think we need a government. We think that, no, okay. And we think that we need a religion, a God, whoever it is. So this is the root of the problem is remember who we are. When we remember who we are, we can unify. I am the supreme obedience, the supreme authority, the sovereign supreme authority, and I obey my supreme authority. Well, fear is over, because what's going to happen to me? I will create. My supreme authority creates, and then I'm here for that. This is why I came on this planet for, to grow and to remember who I am and become who I am. Well, what would I be afraid of? So it's very simple, but if we do not remember who we are, we will not make it. It's a new race we're going towards. It's a new race. Species, I would say, a new species.
I am the supreme authority over me and no one else. And because the kingdom of God lives within me. And, I believe that. There's a lot of other people believe that, but there are people who believe that they're the supreme authority over others. And then there are others who believe that they're the supreme authority over them, and they enjoy the slavery. They protect their slave masters. And we're really finding out that some people are still stuck in that pattern, that they believe they're doctors, they believe their government, they believe the slave masters, they believe, and they will, because of Stockholm syndrome, do anything to protect that system because of that comfort, even though it's detrimental and they can visibly see that there's poison everywhere around. So how do we, talk to those people or reach the people who are still, a slave and happy being a slave to the system?
Why would I want to change them? We cannot. Anyway, I speak for myself now. I cannot. I would love everybody to think the way you think, and I think, but people have the choice. We have freedom of choice, what we call freedom of choice, and people can make their decision to not to change their way of thinking. That's what it is, and it's big. Just think of religious people who believe in religion, people who believe in government. I mean, if you're aware, when we're aware of conspiracy the way it has always been, and it still is, and getting worse all the time. If we believe, it's not even a belief, it's being aware of what's going on, who's ruling the world and how it works. Well, millions of people are aware of conspiracy, but they all went they all believed the government when the fear-demic started, and they still do. And fear, it takes away, it brings us to the animal. It brings us down to the animal. We can't think anymore. So I can't do anything. That's why I gave up, and I gave up. I didn't do much to explain what was going on. I don't want to do that. Some people do it and find great. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking towards the future. What will we do to stop that? It's been going on forever, that the few rule the many. What is going on? So this is my interest. This is what my interest is. So I don't mind what people think. I do not mind what they want, where they want to go or not. I just made a decision for myself. It's very clear. And I share it with people who are interested in knowing and finding out, discovering who we really are. And we are powerful. We are all are powerful. So people who want to go in this direction and towards it's definitely a new species. So people who are interested in this are invited to I like to share with them how to do it, how to get there, and people who want to remain in the old world and comfort with that they know. It's just a matter of knowing it's been uncomfortable forever, but they still prefer this to to changing, and that's fine. But I don't mind. I don't want to convince anybody. That's not my job. Some other people do it. That's fine. But you ask me how I feel about that. I don't care.
So we lead by example, and we create a new world, a new system. How do we do that when we're all really tied to the money, to providing food, providing shelter? The system that enslaves us is the money. And in order for us to live, it's hard to live without money in our current system of life that we're in right now.
Oh, yeah, that's a belief. It's a belief. That's not true. How about grace? Grace that intervenes anytime, but we don't believe in who we are. We are the ultimate, the supreme authority. How can we think poor, being poor? It's impossible. It's just impossible. This is what our thinking is. And this is thinking this way. This is what has brought us to in the slavery we are today, and has brought us into giving priority to our having over our being. That's it. And if I listen, if I obey my inner supreme authority, which we call sovereignty, if I believe in this, I know who I am, and I trust myself, I cannot give priority to my having over my being. I can't. I just obey what it tells me inside. For instance, let's say, I think that 75% of people have a job that they dislike, to say the least. But they do it for the money. Well, how about listening to their inner voice that tells them, do something else? Well, not even do something else. Tells them what they would like to do, what they're good at, what would fulfill their life. Instead of listening to this, they keep doing the job that they hate until they get sick and sicker, and they leave. They're on they are paid by government to be sick, and then they quit. And that's all. So it's a total nonsense. It's nonsense. This is our corruption. This is what corruption is all about, is giving pride. And it's not right or wrong. There's not good and evil, doesn't exist. It's just the word corruption means giving priority to my having over my being. So all I need, if you're corrupted, all I need to do is to give you the having that you want, and you will obey me. That's the way it works. So this is corruption, and we are corrupted to the bone. That's okay until there's a level we may not go any further, but we are corrupted, and we keep pointing our finger at them and saying they are corrupted. Well, how about people who give, and we're talking about the 1%, who give them our children to educate, our money to manage, our laws to make, and etc., etc., and so on. We have the money. We produce everything. We produce the energy. We produce goods and services. They do nothing. Governments and bankers, and priests and so on, they produce nothing. We, the people, produce things. We create. We are creators. Where does the money go? In their pockets, into their pockets. Where's the problem? Where's the problem? We have forgotten who we are, and we think that we need somebody greater than we are, and we keep financing them, obeying their rules, and giving them our money. Well, could we change that? But the bottom problem is that we have forgotten who we are, definitely.
Well, more and more people are remembering, more and more people are awaking. I've seen in the last 3 years more people awake and become aware than I have in the last 30 plus years combined. So the tides are turning.
Yeah.
You know, these 1%ers rule or have ruled for so many years by secrecy and their little pajama parties and their secret societies and like little underground tunnels, little cave dwellers, whatever they were. And, you know, they're more and more being exposed and more people are being aware. But again, some people still want to be in that system, and then more and more people are wanting to be away. Does the future and the new earth look like a split between people that still give them the energy and the power and still believe in the government and still believe in authority, with the sovereign beings that know that all the authority is within all of us? Is that the split that you see that is going to take place here in the near future?
It has already taken place. It has taken place. It is going on. Some people may change their, well, once we know who we are, it's very hard to come back. But some people who believe in external authorities may make a decision to question their authority, those external authorities, and just ask themselves, where's the real authority? It's such nonsense right now. You cannot not see it. It's absurdities to a maximum. I can't see how it could be worse, but some people do not want to see it. It's a matter of individual decision. It's a matter of decision, definitely. And it means that, it's a collapse of all my beliefs. It's a total collapse for many people. I think of people close to me, friends or whoever they are, it doesn't matter. But if the moment they will discover that they've been they've been cheated, they've been I don't recall the name in English, but anyway, they've been lied to, they will die. I mean, they cannot conceive this. They just cannot conceive that government cannot be bad. The government cannot be bad for them. I mean, not serve them or be there for their security and protection. They cannot. That they've been deceived, the word I was looking for. They've been deceived for years and years and always. The 1% and whatever the percentage, the rule, the minority has always deceived the majority in order to make them obey, absolutely.
Now, there's a bunch of people that, are kind of on the fence, and because of their ego, they won't allow themselves to admit that they've poisoned themselves, or they poisoned their children, or they allow these things to happen. They're kind of stuck in a conundrum, because that's one of the hardest things to admit, that you've either done this to yourself or you've done some horrific things unknowingly to your children. And now that you've become aware of, how do we help them, to be able to live with themselves with the things that they may have knowingly or unknowingly have done?
I don't want to help them. I have no interest in helping them. If I can be of some help, which I'm not sure of, if I can be of some help, is to let people who have made a decision to transform, to share with them my journey that I have experienced until now, and just share this with them, and they do what they want. I cannot make a decision, and I don't want people to change their mind or to no, people. I don't want that. This is not me. Some people do, and that's fine. That's okay. But you ask me how to do it, I have no interest for that aspect. Again, I appreciate that some people have done it a lot. Some of them still do it. Great. But the information is all there, out there. You just need to want to have a look at it and listen to it. And the information is out there. So if they can just turn not the television on, turn the internet on, and the answer is right there. All the information is out there.
What kind of doctor were you?
I was a phlebologist, which is treating varicose veins. I was I specialized in the field of treating varicose veins.
And how was it being treated?
With injections, intravenous small needles, intravenous injections. Yep.
And was it successful? Was it one of those big pharma things that they treat the varicose veins, but then the injections may be causing problems in other areas, like a lot of the pharmaceuticals do? Like, what did you learn from your time, in the medical system?
I wrote a book entitled The Medical Mafia. I could not have been in that field if it had not been in line with my conscience. There was absolutely no side effect with the injections, and the treatments were, I would say, 99% effective. So it was a blessing for me, doing something that was excellent and I was very pleased with. And it was fantastic also, very pleasant for the patients who had good results and no risk. But since it was very successful for people who had varicose veins, there were many clinics. I opened several clinics in different places, in different cities, because people were traveling from far to get those treatments. And those treatments came from Europe, so and especially from France. They were France and Belgium. They were very good at it, and so, but it was not known in North America. So that's why there was so few people doing it, and with the need to have more, for people not to travel so far, because it's done in several treatments. So I opened up a few clinics in different cities, and I was involved. This brought me to get involved into the materialistic, the business aspect of medicine. And this allowed me to see how it worked, what it was like. In addition to that, I lived in the US for 6 years, bringing this treatment in the US also. And in the US, medicine is openly a business. It's called a business, and it is a business. It is a business in Canada too, but it's not called a business. In the US, they don't care. They call it a business, and it's open. I still remember a director of a hospital telling me that he had no power at all. And I said, "What's going on? You're the director of the hospital." He said, "No, I don't run this place." I said, "Who runs it?" He said, "Insurance companies. They decide, according to the diagnosis, they decide what kind of treatment they will get, what hospital they will go to, how long it's going to last, and so on and so on." So you see, this is the power of the money. And in addition to that, the big pharma now controls all the medical schools, all the knowledge that doctors acquire. It's all controlled by big pharma. So, and so, just as you asked me this question, this is what all those questions and all those awareness of how things were going brought me to realize that we were living in a mafia, and the medical system doesn't work in Canada, doesn't work in the US. Everybody's complaining. Nobody's happy with it. So it just brought me to find out again. Don't forget, I told you I was born with a conflict of authority. It just brought me to ask, who runs this system, this medical system? Who runs it? And then I said, who's the authority? So I went up right to the top of the what we call the medical body, and from the top down, and I found nobody who had the authority to change it. So then I asked myself, well, if there's a body, there has to be a soul. Who's the medical soul? The medical soul is the patient. It's the raison d'être, what we call the raison d'être, the essence of the medical system. No sick patient, no system. So the patient has the power, but the patient believes in external authorities, people greater than him or her, and the patient gives his money away to insurance companies, and it's decisional power to the doctor, who gives it to big pharma, not even knowing it. So this is the way it works. So I realized from there on, I realized that the patient, the patient, we have the power, but we give it away. And that this is right. If this applies to the system, it also applies to us. And this is how I came to the conclusion that my soul is the authority over my body. And that if I'm sick, it's because my soul is not running. My soul is not the authority in my life over my body. My being is not the authority of my having. So this is how I got there, from being a conservative, normal, what we call a doctor, to who I am now, and writing the book, The Medical Mafia, with only five players in the game, and finding the solution. I'm always looking for the solution, and the solution was individual sovereignty of the soul. That's what it is, and that's how I got there. So I said, okay, over with conventional medicine, and we will take care of who we really are, remember who we are, and behave as such. So that's how I got there.
I've been telling people for years and years that purchasing power is true power. The power where we spend our money, the decisions that we make, and we allow these systems to be put in place because we give our energy, our money, our authority, we give it to them to be able to allow and to rule over us. But there's been people and things put in place, like in the early 1900s, the Rockefeller Foundation took over the medicine and the medical mafia. Probably 120 years ago, they paid the American Medical Association $100 million in order for them to do allopathic medicine and put drugs and put anything alternative as quackery, any real medicine, anything with natural medicines, to not give any funding to it. So there's been the deck has been stacked against us. And then, when you were saying that, where this sickness comes from, we've also been poisoned. There's poison in the air, there's poison in the water, there's poison in the food, there's poison in the frequencies. So, even though you're in alignment with yourself and you have your own sovereignty, sovereign people are still getting sick because the system that's around us that is about us being sick and keeping us sick to take us away from our true power. So, this medical mafia that you wrote, it was called a medical mafia. What did you find out? Like, what was your conclusion, like in the book, or is that what you just explained?
It's what I explained. The conclusion is individual sovereignty of the soul, because we live in the world of frequency, vibrations, frequencies. And the higher the frequency I am in, and when I say I am talking as an individual, the higher the frequency I am in, the more power I have. Right now, we are bombarded with everything you mentioned, and more and more and more, and we could talk about it for years, for hours. What is the solution? Just being above this. And when I obey my soul, the more I obey my soul, the higher my vibrations, frequencies of my vibrations are, and it cannot affect me. This is the only solution to what we are experiencing right now. definitely. I said the only solution is remembering who we are. Remember who we are. Number two, obey our soul, not our ego. Obey our soul. Every moment I obey my ego, I'm still in fear. I obey my ego. I obey my ego, and I serve the system. I obey the external authorities, and I'm afraid. I have a little. It either we're victim, we remain victim of external authorities, or we become conscious of who we are, which is creatrix. We are creators. That's all. It's either we remain victim and we blame external, whatever, causes, authorities, whoever they are, we blame them, or we become conscious of who we are and we say, okay, I create this. I am the creator of what's going on right now. Okay, well, if I'm the creator of hell on earth, I can be the creator of heaven on earth. And heaven on earth, I can create. So how do we do that? Well, we do that by changing the way we've been doing things in the past. And one of them is blaming the external, being victim. Well, either I remain a victim, I blame the others. I tried to change them. Have you tried to change your parents, to change your children? Doesn't work. Never doesn't work. Well, maybe I could change myself and stop behaving and believing in the external authorities and behaving in my own authority and obeying this authority. So yes, it's it's different. I don't mind. I don't even bother about what they do anymore. I don't care. And we keep listening, reading, wondering about their plan. How about our plan? I don't care about their plan. And they're good at it. And they've done it for years and years. And they keep moving forward. And they keep telling us, this is the new, whatever I think they call it. I don't remember what they call it. I don't even know. I don't care what they do, what they want to do, where they're going. Where am I going? Why am I on this planet for? Why did I incarnate for? Otherwise, why would I stay here? I would have quit long time ago. It's a total nonsense. Work, suffer, age, and die. What's fun with that? Why would I stay here? Wait until I'm 80. I'm past 80, but when I thought this way for the first time, why would I stay until I'm at the best 80 years old to die? Why wouldn't I die before? And they promised me, religion promised me that it would be the rest in peace. Well, I'm looking for that. But should I die for that? Because they said you have to die to rest in peace. Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't I rest in peace without death? Because if I remember who I am the creatrix of this universe. I have always been and always will always be. I am immortal. Why should I die? Why should I die to a knowledge, to experience heaven on earth and rest in peace? Couldn't we do it here ourselves?
Live in peace.
Live in peace. Yes. And live in peace. And how do we do that? How do we do that? Live in peace. if as long as I will be in fear, I cannot live in peace. I'm always afraid of something. So fear is the key. Definitely is the key. Is the key to keep slaves in slavery. Definitely.
Now, what about people that are true victims of the system, like their kids have been taken for other reasons? They use the road pirates called police to steal children through, child protective services. We've had a couple on here who reported that their Catholic principal was touching their 6-year-old autistic son, and then they tried reporting it, and then they stole all their 3 kids, and they've been fighting the system for the last 3 years. They haven't seen any of their 3 children in a year. Other people have had their, they didn't want any medical procedures done to their children and in the hospital, and they tried to go against it, where all of a sudden protective services come in, they come and they take the kids. And so there are true victims that are, having a hard time, trying to not feel like a victim, especially when they've stolen their children in one way or another.
Either I am a victim and I see others as a victim, or I remember who I am, and I see myself as a creatrix, and I see the others as a creator and creatrix. It's hard to, this is what I mean when I'm talking about a total transformation of our way of thinking. If, again, I come back to what we just talked about previously in our discussion. I talked about the sovereign. I am sovereign. I create. If I'm sovereign, sovereignty means the ultimate, the supreme authority. That is what we used to call God, and believe that it is outside. And my child is also sovereign, not knowing, but his soul knew, or her soul knew, what experience he or she would go through coming on this planet. So as long as remain in the victim mode, I deny who I am. Am I creatrix or am I a victim? And it's one or the other. It's one or the other. It's like being pregnant or not pregnant. It's not a little bit pregnant. And this is the way it is. It's changing our way of thinking. And as victim is a victim of an external creator, someone superior, someone higher, greater, more powerful than me. Well, who am I? We come back to the question, who am I? Am I the supreme authority, which we call sovereignty? Or sometimes I am and sometimes I am not? No, I am or I am not. So this is what we have to change, is our way of thinking. Our way of thinking. Or a child cannot be sovereign. Well, why not? A child is a human being, and human beings have a soul, and their soul is sovereign. Whether they know it or don't know it, it is sovereign. So, but when it comes to my child, and it can't, he's a victim. And as a parent, I am a victim of the external authorities, but they don't exist. You see how it works. And this is, we have to change. We have to change. And this is what the transformation is. It's going from It's going from the external, our ego. You just mentioned the ego earlier, earlier, and the ego is our government. We are governed by our ego. Ego is our survival tool. But now it's time to make a transfer of power. It's our government, the current government. It's time to make a transfer of power from the ego, outside external ego, to our inner power, ultimate power, which is the sovereign soul. And that applies to everything. Are there, again, who am I? And we have forgotten who we are. And we still want to remain for certain experiences or certain circumstances. We want to remain victim. Well, as long as I remain victim, I am totally powerless. And when I transfer to make the transfer of government from the ego to the soul, my inner soul, sovereign soul, I am all powerful. And then I see things totally differently. Totally differently. So to come back to the example you just mentioned, I know, and I had 4 children. I'm very happy not to have children in these days. But it's major fear. But my child is also sovereign, and I do my best. I do what I need to do, what my soul tells me to do. But fear of losing my child is enormous. And for parents, it's something terrible, terrible. And I hear you, but am I a victim or a creator of what I am as a parent right now? I'm talking about as a parent. Am I a victim of external authorities, or am I the supreme authority that created, and I, supreme authority, created this experience to evolve in consciousness of who I am. This is the choice we have. We have freedom of choice. We have what we call freedom. Yes, freedom of choice. So, and one will make me do anything to prevent this from happening, including accepting the unacceptable, whatever it is. And the other one, if I remember who I am, I will listen, I will obey my soul and do what my soul tells me to do, and not fight to keep the control over my child, to keep the property ownership or protect my child. It's hard. It's a very delicate subject, but it goes as far as that. And out of fear, I've heard parents saying, will accept anything, including what the jabs and whatever, to prevent this from happening, so that my children don't experience this. We're going through rough times for parents, children, for everybody. But there's a reason for that. It otherwise doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. What are we doing here? If we remember who we are. We're going through this experience and those hard times in order for us to start asking ourselves, who am I? Who am I? And what am I doing on this planet? Why did I incarnate for? It makes no sense at all, the way it is. And again, I don't want to. Anyway, I'll be the way I am. I call a sword a sword. We're here to. I can thank. I can be grateful for the 1%. I'm grateful to the 1% because they are the ones giving us the kick in the butt that we need to wake up and to wake up. We've been sleeping for eons, and wake up, guys. It's time to wake up. This is where we're going. You want to come with us? And if we don't want to, well, it's about time we wake up. To what? Wake up to what? To who we really are. We have the power. The power is within. We are sovereign individuals. Our soul is. Well, all we have to do is remember who we are, obey our souls blindly. Because the soul gives no explanation ever. Blindly obey the soul. But it means having faith in who I am. And then I obey blindly my soul. That's all, without any expectation of results. This is what we're going with. This is where we're going now. But this is the solution. And fear is over. Of course, fear is over. There's no more fear.
So, for in the case of Chris and Christine Lee, who had their children taken, and, as, creators, they've been doing everything that they can to try to get their children back. They've been arrested. They have had guns put to their head. They've been stripped naked by the road pirates called police. They've been going through everything. They're starting to go on podcasts now. They've came here on the Missing Link a couple times. And all they do is they want their children back. How can we create, them getting their children back? Because, with all that's gone on, they don't blame, these people. They just want their children back. That's the ultimate goal, is just to be reunited so they can, protect or, start the process for their children to heal again after all the trauma that they've been, gone through for these last 3 years.
I hear you. Let's go back to victim or creatrix. That's all. Either I'm a victim. If I'm a victim, the creator is outside me. And then I am not the supreme authority. Let's consider two scenarios. One is I'm a victim. The creator, the responsible, the creator, let's put it this way, is outside of me. And I fight because I want my children back for their good. Definitely. It's filled with good intention. This is the first scenario. And the other scenario is I'm a creatrix. I will do everything I can to get them back and I will obey what my soul tells me to do. And my soul may even tell me not to fight. I don't know. This is the big thing. I have no more control over the future. And the other one, as a victim, I want something. And I just mentioned just earlier that the new way of doing things, new way. I don't like this word. Behaving as a sovereign means that I obey my soul without any expectation of result. Whatever will happen, I will go with it. And it's perfect for my evolution, and definitely my children's evolution. But this is hard. What's going on right now is giving away, letting go of our control over the future. And fear is always fear of the future. I want to control the future. Well, it's time to let go of this. If I want to let go of fear, I let go of control of the future. Of control. Yes, I let go of the control of the future. Remember, guys, I don't remember who said that he was a priest or something. And he used to say, remember, guys, the name of the game is control. Harari, the counselor of the globalists, just said, there's nothing. Science is nothing but control. That's all. So people have good intentions. People who are in research and in science as scientists, they have good intention, but they obey a system. And the system is made up in a way that it's meant to take control. Control is the name of the game. And we also want to control the future. And it is letting go of control. It's not, doesn't mean giving them the control. No. No. I've been in jail because I did not agree to file income tax anymore. And I never gave up. I went to jail because I obeyed my soul. That's all. They told me, no, you don't do that. When I learned that our income taxes go directly into the pockets of the international bankers, my conscience told me, you stop that immediately. I didn't question what would happen and try to, no. I said, okay, fine. I stopped. That's all. Out of consciousness. And it got to a point where I had to agree or go to jail. I went to jail. That's all. You will not make me go against my consciousness. That's all. We all have this. We are all powerful. So we have forgotten who we are. So we don't like it. We don't like paying income tax. Everybody is depressed in April in the country. Yes, because we feel that we've been cheated. We were cheated. Something is wrong. We don't like it, but we still do it. We have the power to stop. Yes, we have. We are all powerful.
Now, what age were you when they put you to jail for not paying taxes? And I thought that taxes are voluntary. So why could they justify, them putting you in jail for not paying your taxes?
Well, you live in Canada, and the Canadian government sued me or after me. So I don't think that taxes are voluntary in Canada. I wish they were. I was 66 anyway, to answer your question. I was 66 when I went to jail.
How long did they keep you?
2 months. 2 months. Because I didn't show up. They kept me in jail because I refused to to sign. They had fixed the date for the trial, and I had to sign a document. If I signed the document, I agreed to be the legal person under the maritime law, and this is the person who has to pay, who's forced to, who has by force to pay income tax. So I knew that, and I didn't sign. So it was either you sign or you go to jail, because I never showed up, because I showed up once and I asked them, is this letter, is it dedicated to the legal person or to the natural person, physical in flesh and bone? And the judge didn't answer. And I said, well, if you do not answer my question, I have to suppose that it has to do with the maritime law, the legal person, what they call the legal person. And so I will not show up to the court. I will not show up in court. So since I didn't show up in court, finally they came home and they brought me to jail and brought me to court. And I said, okay, I will release you, but you have to promise and sign. Well, if I signed, that meant that I agreed to be the legal person. I didn't sign. They said, well, since you don't show up, we have to keep you in jail between now and the trial. And I said, well, that's fine. I will not sign. So that's how I got to jail. It was for 2 months. It's no big deal. Don't sell. Anyway, I would not recommend anybody to sell their soul not to go to jail. No, it's not worth it.
So they kept you until your trial, and then what happened at your trial?
The trial, anyway, it was postponed again for a few months, and the end result, I showed, okay, I was there, but I always told them, you have no, you have no jurisdiction over me. So the end result was that they judged, there was a sentence for condemning the legal person to pay $1,000 over a 2-year period.
And did you ever pay that?
What do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But
Not
I'm just
me.
reason why I'm asking, because a lot of people are on this sovereign side and they need to hear some stories about people that have done this and what has happened, because it helps them be less afraid to stand in their own sovereignty. And that's why I think this is important to hear someone that has actually gone through this and stood in their own sovereign power and was able to beat them at their own game.
I didn't beat them. A friend of mine said, you won. And I said, I didn't win. I did not play. I listened to my soul. I was ready to go to jail for 5 years. Didn't matter. I would just obey what my soul told me without any expectation of result.
Wow, and you've never heard anything since, and that was it. They wanted nothing to do with you anymore after all of that.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't mind. It doesn't. I don't want to understand. I don't need to understand. I let my soul run my life, and I just go with it. My soul knows why I incarnated on this planet. And it knows why, and it will drive me there, pull me there where I came here for. And I came here for, we all came here for remembering who we are, discovering who we are, and becoming who we are. Well, that's all. Okay, go ahead and I'll follow you. I'll tell you something. Life is so simple and so easy when we stop wanting to control the future. And this is what it means to come to an end of fear, for fear to come to an end. It's over. It is time for human beings. It's time for human beings to give up fear, which means the control over the future.
And just stop playing the game.
That's all.
It's simple.
It is so simple that we don't want to believe it.
I've been telling people this for a long time. The answers are very, very simple. It's us that complicate things to make things a lot more difficult. We always find excuses in our brains, and we're the ones that create these own roadblocks to our own freedom.
Yep.
Wow, you're a beautiful example of, being true to yourself. And, we're definitely, the missing link is love inspiring new knowledge is an acronym for LINK. And we definitely have that here with you today. So it's definitely an honor to be able to listen to you share your insights with us.
I thank you for inviting me to share it. We're all one. And the more we become aware of who we are, the faster we will experience heaven on earth without death. It is there already, but we can't see it. We live in a world of illusion. It is not true. Nothing is true. Again, may sound ridiculous. It doesn't matter. I said anyway. Everything is false. Everything is false. It can even go as far as parenthood. If I'm creatrix or creator, I create myself. And you say, well, wait a minute, And I had children. I've felt it. I've felt giving birth. It is either creatrix or I am not. I cannot be one or the other according to circumstances. So I realized, and that was years after the medical mafia, I realized that, well, if I'm creatrix, I create myself. So, but since we are not aware of who we are, we have forgotten who we are. We believe we're still in the animalistic mood or world or whatever, thinking that we have to copulate, have intercourse to make children, No, reality. This is the world of illusion. Reality is that we are creators, so we create ourselves. Again, it may sound impossible, astonishing. I mean, whatever the word you want to put on this, it's just that this is everything is false, including all our systems, of course. They are ridiculous. They are, anyways, they are totally, I'm looking for the obsolete, including the family. Including the family. It's hard. Anyway, everything is false. I'm not even talking about science. For instance, some people, some scientists, very, very great reputation, will explain why there's no virus. Doesn't exist. It just does not exist, period. Some others.
We've had Dr. Amanda Vollmer on here explaining that. We actually had a debate between her and Paul Cottrell between germ theory and terrain theory. So we've actually had one of these big debates on our interview number 200, trying to uncover this truth for humanity.
Yes. And so it's just imaginary. It's just our imagination that creates. It's unbelievable, amazing to realize that imagination, which is our thoughts, can put humanity worldwide on their knees in 24 hours. I am astonished. But this is how far it goes, to forget who we are and trust external authorities. There is no such thing. It just does. All the systems are based on falsehood. So they're all biased. They're all, we don't need them. We are, let's not forget, we are supreme authority, the supreme authority where all knowledge, we know everything inside. And the more we evolve in consciousness, the more we know, the more we know. So again, why would we go to school? You see, it's the moment we realize who we are, everything falls apart. It's total nonsense. And schools are made to control, to learn children, to teach children to be obedient, good slaves. Work hard. Work hard for us, guys. You'll be a good student and you will get good marks and get a good job and good salary. That's all. Carrots and sticks. If you don't do that, you'll have the sticks. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's hard for me to give more details about education, but we send our children to educate to school with masks and with distanciation and all of that, because we need to work hard to get money to pay the bankers for our mortgage. We are the ultimate authority, supreme authority, and we're poor. We have to borrow money from bankers. There's a problem somewhere. How come? We are so rich. We are so rich that we don't believe it. There are billions, trillions, or whatever. I don't know. There are so many zeros. I don't know how to call it. But all those zeros are ours. We work for them. And if we just have enough of our needs met, we're pleased with this. Let us remain happy slaves. Not for me, thank you. Not for me.
Me neither. I've been looking to be free for a long time. So people are asking if you've got a Facebook page or how they can connect with you. I put your information here, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about the newsletter and your YouTube channels.
Yes. Well, I have two YouTube channels. Lots of videos, more in French than in English. But don't forget there's the choice of language on the top on the right. And otherwise you'll see the French coming out only. Yes, no, the English, you have to press an English button. Yes, I have videos, many of them, lots of interviews. This one will be on it. We have also lots of conferences I gave, the talks I gave for many years. That was almost one a month. Anyway, there's many of them, like most of them are in French, though some of them are translated. But anyway, and I am not on any the réseau social, whatever they call it.
Social media.
So yeah, I am not on any of those, but I have a website. The website is Personocratia. Personocratia. Kratia means the power to govern, and personal means the individual. So PERSONOCRATIA.com. And on the front page, you will have the way press or write down your to receive the newsletter. You subscribe to get the newsletter.
My girlfriend Angeline says, you remind me of my grandma, but you are strong on the right vibration. I love you so much. She spoke French too, her grandma. What's your newsletter? It says, on your website, do you do a weekly newsletter or every quarterly, or how does your newsletter, if people register to get it, how do you what's your newsletter like?
It depends on what is going on. And sometimes most of the time it's when something new is coming. When I do workshops also, or if I have something to share. For instance, we're going to meet pretty soon a little group we always ask, what is this new year? What is 2023 going to bring us? And for a few years, I've been not asking, what are we going to bring to 2023?
Abundance. Let's bring abundance.
No abundance. Abundance we already have. We just don't want to see it. We just give it away to bankers, to the banks and multinationals. We still buy things on Amazon. Just think about it. Amazon instead of local people. We buy on internet things that come from different countries instead of buying local. We just kill our business. We agree to pay taxes. We buy new things. We go to, anyway, all sorts of, everything we do goes against our abundance. We are so rich that we will never need to worry about money. So no what will we, the main thing that we will plan and make plan for the coming year, for 2023, is definitely the end of human fear. It's time. It's got to stop. It's got to come to an end.
I love that. So unification. We really need unify with each other, to come back to each other.
It is an individual decision, but the more and more people who will, it is a revolution of consciousness. We've always made revolutions of matter. Now it's a revolution, a spiritual revolution. But I'm not talking about spirituality the way we know it. I'm talking about the spirit, going from the reign, coming to the reign of the spirit over matter. And so this is what is at stake now. I don't know if I answered your question, though.
No, I was just asking what the 2023 was bringing.
Yes, so definitely. Oh yes, you talked about unity.
Yeah.
The more we will, the more people, the more individual. It's an individual decision. The more individuals there will be making this transformation, making this decision of transformation, the faster it will manifest, because society is the manifestation on a big mirror, in a big mirror, manifestation of its individuals. And we do not need to be half of the population. We need just a few people, but to be so, how would I say, so, not sure, not, no.
Firm, strong in their power.
Strong, firm, and no hesitation. Have total faith in who they are. Faith is definitely the main thing, in who they are, and behave as such. And we need just to be a few. And it's so powerful. This new consciousness we're moving in is so powerful that this is what I'm just forgetting the word. Yes, viruses and germs are not contagious. One thing is contagious. It's love. And love is what? The opposite of fear. Yes. Fear is the shadow.
False evidence appearing real.
And just the shadow of love. When fear goes away, pure love comes out. It's not, the word power is not, I cannot translate what it is. I mean, it's so powerful. We just can't stop it. And it just goes zoom, like this. And this will happen anytime when we decide to do it, to remember who we are and become who we are. And it's got to be a decision of a few people who are totally dedicated to who they are, to who we are. And then unity will come, of course. Unification, you just mentioned. Unity. Yes, unity can only be made not by a country, not a language, not a race, not a whatever, a culture. Unity can only be achieved by what we have in common. The only thing we all have in common, and not only human beings, everything is the supreme authority, the supreme being that we are. Animals cannot know it, but we humans can remember who we are and achieve it and become who we are. So the time is there.
When I said unity, I thought about it afterwards, and as you were talking, and I thought about that we already are unified. It's just people choose to separate themselves from themselves. And that's the problem, is that people deciding that they need to be separate from everyone else and everything, that supreme authority that connects us and binds us all through love.
Yes, exactly. And it's only the separation that brings fear. It's so simple.
People sure love you here. This is great. We have like lots of people in the audience here that is just, really enjoying your words and really needed to hear this. So this is great. What are some oh yeah, you were involved with some medical clinics, ex-medical clinics. What was that about?
Well, I was involved, yes, as I said, because of the treatment I was giving. But what is your question about the clinics?
Well, I was
I
just
didn't hear
wanting
it
just a little
well.
clarification because it says here you were ex-entrepreneur of medical clinics. So you
Yep.
weren't just a
Okay.
doctor, you also owned some clinics as well then?
Yes, I own several clinics, as I mentioned earlier, um, because the treatments I was giving were not known in North America. They came from Europe, and some people were coming from far away to have it. I was living in Montreal, and they were coming from far away in the province of Quebec first to have the treatment. And they would ask me, would you come in our city so that we wouldn't have to do the treatment? So I started to train other doctors to do it and then have clinics in several cases. So I would have a clinic and then train a doctor on premises. And then, so I did it in several cities in Quebec, in the province of Quebec. And then there was one in Toronto. And then I had several in the US. So why? I was not a business person, but that made me get to develop and understand the business aspect of medicine. Everything has a sense, even though we don't understand why. Everything has a meaning, and that's why this brought me to get to know the business aspect of medicine. And I had started a little bit here and then, but when I went to the US, it was open, so I could get it all. The only missing link was the missing link was the global aspect, and that I read a book that talked about it, and I said, "All right, that's it." So then I that was I could on a national basis I could see it, but I couldn't see it on international. That was the link, missing link, and that was it. Then it's easy to understand that the UN makes a decision, and all the countries in a day or two they just adopt it and do it blindly without any question. And this, talking about this, I was amazed to see how fast it went with this fear-demic. I was amazed to see this. And this is what hierarchy is all about. Hierarchy, the moment there is hierarchy, there is separation and fear. The hierarchy is domination and obedience, authority and obedience, the dominator or whatever, and the dominated. And this dominated dominates the next one, and so on.
The pyramid that we all kind of come to know.
Right. And should it be spiritual or should it be material? In matter, government, all organizations, any organization, any that has a hierarchy structure is always serving the god of falsehood. Who's at the top? Again, I remember what I said at the beginning. I just repeat it. I was born with an authority conflict, a conflict of authority. And it lasted as long as I did not discover that the only real top, at the very top, supreme authority is within. It is not outside. So that's the end of hierarchy. Well, how do we do that? We just bring this God at the top, very top of the pyramid, and bring it down inside each individual. So that's why it is an individual. It is not a collective movement. It is individual, then it manifests collectively. But that's the big thing. The big thing is belief in somebody, whatever it is. Should it be spiritual master? Should it be a religious master or whatever? If the moment there is a hierarchy, it is diabolic. It's demoniac, whatever we call it. And it's not right or wrong. It is not good or bad. What would you call it? Not bad, good or
evil.
Evil, good or evil. It's just falsehood.
out of alignment.
It's well aligned, but on the line. The big boss at the top is the god of falsehood. We live and we're in a world of falsehood. That's why I said previously, everything is false. But when we hear that very often, temptation is to say, but my doctor is a good doctor. Well, he won't be a doctor, and we can see it now. He won't be a doctor if he doesn't obey the system. That's all. And the system, as Harari, the counselor.
Noah Harari.
Yeah. He just said it recently. The system is meant for control. The science, the only goal of science is control. That's all. So we that's the way it is. Anyway, any kind of hierarchy is always serving falsehood. That's all.
So when you were 66, you decided not to pay taxes. You got some letters, court. You talked to the judge, decided, that they had no authority over you, decided not to go. You, got arrested, spent a couple months in jail until your court, and then they gave you $1,000 fine. And then you haven't heard from them since. Carrie from our Facebook is asking, do you still pay taxes? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I would just like for you to answer Carrie's question here.
It's interesting. Very often when I have some people ask questions, I say, if you ask the question, it's because you know the answer. Yes, no, never, no, it's over. It's over.
And
Just
so this
filing would be impossible for me. It's not that I can't write. I can write, but no, I no. This is in with fear. Same thing happens. I'm still fearful. Not much, very little, less and less. Let's put it this way. But fear, the less we're fearful, or I'm talking about myself, but it applies to any individual. The less I'm fearful, the less it's again, the less I'm fearful, the less I have this habit of being fearful. It just goes away. It fades out. It just fades out. It's not fighting fear. It's remembering who I am, obeying who I am, my soul, and fear just goes away. We don't need to fight. We don't need to fight. Not at all. The more I fight something, the more I make it grow. The more
give power to it, the more
I
you give it energy.
power. I give it more and more power. Let's stop fighting. We're going nowhere with this. We're not going anywhere with this. We are, by nature, pure love. We're not fighters. We can be strong. We are strong. We are invincible. This is who we are. Invincible, strong. It doesn't mean that we will win. No, it doesn't exist. War does not exist. It only exists inside us. And we manifest it. But war does not exist. None of this exists. If I can come up with a few recommendations, turn off TV. I mean, just throw it out the window if you need. I mean, never listen to their news, and maybe for the last time before you throw the TV out of the window, you can listen to it and pay attention that everything that is said on television or radio, whatever, is meant to make us fearful. Everything. If you want to dominate people, you have to keep them in fear. That's why I call ourselves sheep. We're either white sheep who believe in external authorities. We believe in law and order. Or black sheep, well, not as much. But still, we believe in external authorities. And when we stop believing in external authorities in any way, no more, we become a mare. I call it a mare. I'm talking about feminine principle taking over, which is our being over our having. So we become mares, and we behave totally in the opposite way as we've always done. So it means, and the mare, the sovereign mare, is not in reaction. It is in action. It means doing differently, behaving differently, thinking differently, talking differently, and acting differently in every field of our life. So we just mentioned earlier, buying on Amazon, for instance, and we still do it.
Not me.
having mortgages with the banks. I mean, there are people who put money in the bank and other people who borrow money from the bank. Bankers are their job, their mission, their job, who they are. Yes, their mission is to run people. That's all. Why do we do that? We we do business with fraudulent people. It's a fraud.
Criminals.
I mean, lending us money out of thin air. I mean, what is that? And we do it. And on top of that, there's interest.
It's a magic trick.
Well, yes, to make us poor. And we keep doing business with them. What is that? I mean, no. Do we need a bank account? We do not need a bank account. Whoa, I get my check from government every month from bank account. Oh, do I need government? I am the supreme authority. Does Idessa or goddess, whatever you want to name it, does it have a bank account? Does it get money from the government to pay for my food and if I have a roof on the head? No. So we cannot cooperate with any system anymore. Let's put it this way. This is what it is. And all those systems we have created, and we keep creating them because we have forgotten who we are. But we can stop doing business with the system. And the bankers, I mean, the reason, their essence, their mission is to get rich and steal our money. And we do business with them. Think about it.
It's crazy.
Same thing with doctors. Doctors make money from our disease, our illness. What are we doing there? What are we going when we're sick? Why can't we do something else than going to the doctor whose commitment, without even knowing it, is to make us sick and sicker for the interest of big pharma? And same thing with the which one is the third one? The government. Government. Again, their mission is to get our money. They are the ones who get the money, and to make us obey. They make laws and take our money away. They shave us. How do we say in English? Share the sheep. How do you say?
Shear
the sheep. Okay, they shear us, and they make laws to make us obey, accept being sheared. This is what it is.
They make laws for the slaves, not for them. They don't obey their laws that they make.
Absolutely.
There was even a judge in Alberta that said what the constituents took the person that got elected to court because he didn't follow through on any campaign promises. And the judge publicly stated that by no level of any government is any person who is elected by the people beholden to the people. It doesn't matter what level of government. He actually said this in a public court, that he's not guilty because he's not subject to the constituents. He's beholden to the crown. Yeah. And this is the system that people still believe, that they can vote themselves out of tyranny.
Yes. Again, we can get our name out of the list, the list to be an elector. Stop voting. Of course, stop voting. We can stop voting. We can and stop paying taxes, buy goods and services directly from people. We don't need to, without paying taxes. We not on gas yet, but there are so many things we can buy directly from someone else. Secondhand things, secondhand car, everything we can buy on Kijiji or whatever those services. Um, we can meet and barter with people. Everything. But when I want to, I make the decision to become who I really am, which is a sovereign mayor. I have to start thinking of, okay, how does a mayor behave? Well, it's not difficult. It's totally the opposite of what I've learned in school and what I've done until now. And so it may sound ridiculous. Some people say, when you say, well, I don't know, if this law is a good law or that one law is not a good one, which, what's behind. Well, still, don't question. When government says something or does something, it's has never been and will never be good for the people. That's all.
100%. I'm 100% in agreement with that. And it's the Freemason indoctrination camps they call schools that convince people that they need to give away their authority to these beings, these governments, these people that want power over others, when we are all equally powerful and we are all equally allowed to live here. So if I was to maybe go to a farmer and say, I'll paint your house if you can provide me food for the next 3 months or 6 months, and, a type of exchange, we can do things to provide. And I want to read you 3 comments, and then I want you to answer afterwards. So the first one says, from Angelina in our Facebook, what are some things you have done to create your sovereignty away from the system and survive? The next one is, Andrea from our Facebook says, people just can't stop paying rent. And then Amanda says, how do we break free from the system? So these are 3 kind of similar comments. And maybe if you could, maybe give your explanation on your thoughts on that.
Well, the first one, I don't remember. The second one was how to pay rent. Well,
how do we just can't stop paying rent?
Why would I stop paying rent? Somebody is if I have a house and I have a mortgage, well, my house belongs to the bank until I pay back the mortgage plus the interest. So I can, if you're talking about a house, I can borrow money if I don't have it, make sure that I have. Should I buy a house if I don't have enough money? No. Now, to rent a house, well, I work, people work, and we bring money in, and we pay the rent. I don't see the problem. Why would I not pay the house, the rent? If I rent an apartment or a house, whatever I rent, somebody provides me with it. Why wouldn't I want to pay? You see, sovereignty does not mean do what I want, when I want, the way I want. It means being very respectful for what I get. What I get, I pay for. What I give, I charge for. This is the way it is. Money is not something bad. Money is not evil. Money is a way of exchange. It is not meant to make money. And as the bankers do, interest on money is something else. This is not what money is. The money is a way, is a mean of exchange of goods and services. And it's a good tool. People say, oh, money is bad. Spiritual people very often think or have been told that money is bad and our problem is money. No. Our problem is that the way we deal with money. and we give it away to bankers, we give it away to multinationals, and we don't use money in the way it is, in the way where it serves the other person and ourselves. But when somebody provides me with a service or a good, I pay for it, and I'm happy to pay for it. And if it's not enough, I can even tell the person, I think it's worth more than what you ask for. So it's where the time is now to learn to make not justice, justness, something that is just, like a false note when in an orchestra, or true, no, what's it? Fair, just. When it's just, this is what it is. And we're not, this is the time to learn to do business with other people in a fair way, in a just way, with justness. Let's call it this way, with justness. So I don't know what the other question was. How do we get out our freedom, get the freedom or something?
Yeah. So the first one was kind of like the same. The first question was like the same. So what are some things you have done to create sovereignty away from the system and survive? And then the second one was, how do we break free from the system? So that's both are kind of similar.
You just break free. We're free by nature. We are free. We are free to choose our master. Okay, let's put it, I make it simple, but I think time goes by. We are free by nature. The body, the physical body, the body is obedient by nature. And the body has the choice. We have the choice of our master. Is it external or is it inner? And if it's external, our master, we obey our ego. If it's internal, we obey our soul. So we have the choice. We are free by nature, and this is the choice that we have.
Here's Patricia from our Facebook says, what if a person cannot work to create currency, to create money, or are too old, as in retired? And same thing, Linda says, my little pension is set up for direct deposit to my bank. How can that be transacted without an account?
Not the way it is now. Not the way it is now. We have learned to give our money away to government all our life, so that when we get older, government gives us our money back. This is all false. Why did we give it in the first place? So we've done it out of lack of knowledge, so on. Now, do I need this retirement money? If I don't take it, and then I don't need a bank account. But if I need it, again, most of the people think that when they get older, they can't do anything anymore. Well, there are plenty of people on retirement have retired, and they're filled with experience, knowledge, lots of things that we need, but since their job is over, they're not in use anymore, if I can say so. Why not? What can I offer? What is it that I can offer or provide people with that I have, and in return buy things from other people? Do it on a barter relationship or whatever. We are not, as long as we're not dead and we're immortal, we can provide people with something. everybody has something to offer, but in our society, you have to offer services or goods that are in recognized by the authorities. No, there are plenty of needs that are not fulfilled and that could be fulfilled, but I don't have the diploma. I don't have this. We don't need diplomas. We don't need diplomas. No, if I can help someone, I don't need a diploma. We don't need any of those. So yes, and if I'm sick and so on, yes, well, people are so rich. We're so rich. We have to think rich because this is who we are. And we still think, well, I'm poor. I get too old. I don't. No, we're rich. We don't need governments to have a roof on our head. No. We don't need any of those. But again, we have to make a total switch in our way of thinking. We still think as slaves. If I have to work hard, put money away, and government would take care of it. Put money away, government will take care of it and give it back to me. Oh, they're all bankrupt. Maybe we will not get it. So again, there's no, in this world, the way it is. If we want to remain in it and keep thinking this way, there's no solution. The moment I say, hey, wait a minute, I don't want this anymore, solutions come up. And this is what it means to give priority to my being over my having. It means giving priority to my what over my how. What do I want? If I want something, I want to stay in this old system, or I want to move into a new way, a new era. Okay, make this decision. That's why I've said often, repeatedly, we have to make a decision. And when I make the decision of what I want, I decide, then the how will come. But if I say, oh, I can't, well, this world doesn't exist. Just remember, I am the supreme authority. I can everything. Do I want to keep doing business with the bank? No, I stop it. Again, you do it progressively, one thing at a time. Okay, don't throw everything out. Progressively. But when I decide that I choose the direction of my life, then I start putting things in place. And the how shows up. Otherwise, the how doesn't show up. If I want to know how before I decide the what, I'll never get there.
Makes sense. Patricia wants to know if you're still making money to pay for things.
Of course. I do both. I pay for things and I charge for what I do.
And so she's saying, how do you make money then? Charge for
what I do. I sell books. I write books. I sell books. I give workshops. Yes, I earn my living.
How many books have you written and what are they called?
Well, The Medical Mafia was the first one in 1994. Then in 2001, it was What the Hell Am I Doing Here Anyway? In the meantime, I had the first trial with the College of Physicians, and it was a book about it. And then I had the second trial I just talked about earlier, is called Madame Guy Escape in Prison. And then there was a series of booklets, 10 booklets on all the two main booklets. The first booklet is evolution, and second booklet is authority. And then it's the how do we apply those two in every field of our life, in every field, every domain of our life?
Couple questions. Where do I buy the book, The Medical Mafia? And are your books under Ghis? And on your website, can they find your access to your books?
Yes, on the website. You find everything on the website. Don't forget to touch the English button on the front right, on the front page, the right angle on the top.
So it was built in French, but there's an English option. So if you click on, if you don't know French, that anybody that's listening that wants to connect with Ghis, you just click on the English and then everything will come up in English for you?
Yes. 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 Definitely.
Okay, that's great. So is there anything else that we maybe didn't touch upon that you wanted to share with us today?
The only thing that's really in my not my mind, but that I really put emphasis on is the end of human fear. Just let's just remember and repeatedly and say it, that it is possible, it is inevitable, it will happen one day. The question is when, and we all have the possibility to make it happen this coming year. So be it.
So be it. Well, no more fear. We don't need any more fear, so let love guide your way. Thank you so much, Ghis, for your time, for your knowledge, for your wisdom, for just being such a beautiful soul, sovereign soul, and, helping others to stand in their own power that we all have, because, having good examples of people that aren't afraid and that stand in their power and have gone up against the system is really important, because many people are afraid, because that's what we've been programmed to do. So thank you for you being you, and just being that bright light that, many, many people need to hear.
Thank you for the invitation, Jessie. And big kiss, big love, big hug to everybody.
Thank you. And the missing link is love inspiring new knowledge. And you definitely brought that here for us today. May the source be with you. And may the source always be with all of us. And, with what Ghis says, no more fear, no more fear. Just keep repeating that to yourself. No more fear. We're going to stand in our power of love. Thanks everybody for all your likes, comments, hearts, shares, and stars. We appreciate you all. The missing link is what it is because of all of you and your beautiful support. So many people. Thank you, Ghis. Thank you, beautiful souls. Thank you, beautiful. You're a great example. Thank you. Welcome her back. Big hugs. So lots of beautiful comments. I know you're not on social media, so just here you'll probably see the replay, but appreciate you. And we've got 2 more missing links this week. Is tomorrow at noon Eastern is Yinks. He's an African guy that is a hip hop artist and musician. So we're going to talk to him and about his journey in Africa. And then we've got Tommy Kerrigan coming back for the second time. He's another podcaster that talks a lot about the medical doctors and about what's going on in the system. So thank you so much, Ghis. You have a wonderful day, and maybe we can bring you back in the future, because there's a lot of people saying, bring her back, bring her back. So if you're open to coming back, we can maybe, think about scheduling you again.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow back on the missing link. Bye everyone. Bye, Ghis.
Bye.